West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
Love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
What a great morning. Little band from Texas, right? Whew. Thursday morning, I'm Peter Boyles in for the fellows. July the 10th, 2025. Good old 710 KNUS. The weather, it's good stuff. 93, tomorrow 85. Saturday, for the motorcycle show, 86 degrees. It is time, and we haven't had an opportunity to really talk for the Olsen Report. Hit the magic twanger, Froggy, and here he comes.
Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen, news and comment.
Do you remember
The magic twanger.
you remember Froggy the Gremlin? No, you don't. Do you?
No, I don't remember that one. I'm sorry.
Froggy
Please
was
explain.
on. Somebody else will remember that and save me. Froggy was on Saturday morning.
Okay.
On was Buster Brown, I think.
Oh, on Buster Brown. Okay.
And
I think I remember.
Uncle Andy would say, My brother had a Froggy the Gremlin. He did. You could Google Froggy.
I'm sure it was a great character.
Uncle Andy would say, "Plunk your magic twanger, Froggy," and there'd be. Now wait a minute.
That is awesome.
All this.
Speaking of Epstein, no.
Yes, all this smoke, and then he'd go, "Hiya, kids, hiya."
I think I've heard of that.
He sounded like the Crusher.
Yes. Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
I think I've heard stories about that.
Froggy the
I didn't
Gremlin.
watch it, but yeah.
Midnight
that's interesting.
the Cat.
Man, that is so cool. I'm so glad you're having Dr. Daddio on tomorrow.
Thank you.
That is gonna be great.
Daddy-o.
Oh my goodness, man! I don't. There are very few people who listen to KDKO more than I did in 1983-84.
The Daddy-o house party.
Oh my goodness,
Jimmy Walker.
And I could barely get it. I had to use a telephone. Yeah. I had to use a hanger to get the reception and everything. Those were great summers listening to KDKO.
Well, Daddy-o,
1510.
We talked yesterday. He just got out of the hospital, and
he did.
And Jimmy's and brother Jeff's coming in to be with us, and he booked the Jackson 5 before 2 tours with the Jackson 5 before they really became.
I think Bondi made a mistake.
Somebody's playing some music. Hear some of the words, but he did that. He did. They used to do midnight shows, and Bobby Blue Bland, and I would go see Bobby Blue Bland, and he did James Brown. James Brown is his son's godfather.
Is that right?
Yeah, JB. And so Daddy's got a history. And
man, that is going to be a great show.
The Daddy-o house party.
Oh, I can't wait.
We were trading lines on Daddy-o yesterday, he and I on the phone.
Oh,
and
man.
Coming to you in live and in living color. What color am I coming through to you?
That is awesome.
Yeah, so
do I have to buy a ticket, or is it going to be free for me to listen?
It's a gimme tomorrow, man.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
The one and only Jimmy Walker.
I feel like I'm stealing.
And then we had Martino this morning. I mean, what more do you want?
Oh, that was great.
Yeah,
that was so many great stories. And legends, that's right. Together, you two, 101, 102 years.
101 years.
Wow.
And also,
wow.
KOA is having its 100th anniversary birthday party. And
I forgot about that.
I caught an invite, so.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's so cool. They invited you. Where is it? Over there at the station?
I better not say, but,
Okay.
But, yeah.
That's great. That's going to be a great time for you guys.
Martino said he'd go if there's a metal detector.
Yeah, I heard that. That's probably a good idea.
Get down on it.
Get down on it.
All right. You ready?
All right, I'll do this so you can talk drag racing.
All right, brother.
All right. Thursday in Denver, 74 with clouds. Expecting a high of 89 today. It's going to be really cool today after that 100 degrees we had on Wednesday. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, 31 workers are safely above ground and doing okay after an industrial tunnel collapsed last night in L.A. The workers were 300 to 400 feet below the surface at the time, and they were about 6 miles away from the tunnel's only access point. They were rescued with no reports of any injuries. Over 170 people are still missing in flood-ravaged central Texas, where the governor has vowed that no one will rest until everyone has been accounted for. Among the missing are 5 campers and a counselor from Camp Mystic along the Guadalupe River that was washed away. The death toll stands at least 120. All right, the Epstein story. I never thought I'd say this, but I think I actually agree with Chris Cuomo on this.
I don't believe there is a client list. I think Bondi made a mistake when she suggested they had a client list. I don't think Epstein had anything like that. I think they have videos where he is doing disgusting things with people, but they're none of the people that King files. People are headhunting for. And the other point is something that people will never give the president credit for, maybe me among them. But there is no client list. And if you put people's names out, they are going to sue the government and they are going to win, because they are going to show that the government had reason to know that there was nothing felonious in their relationship with Epstein, and they put out information that was defamatory anyway. And that's the reason not to do it. You're going to ruin people's lives who had nothing to do with the behavior.
That's because him and his brother are on the list.
I was thinking the same thing. Absolutely. And he's spot on. So they're getting ready to
I don't think there's a list because we're on it.
I was thinking the same thing. I do agree. I just think Cash, Dan, and Bondi just got out over their skis. They just got way too excited. I think
no.
Way too excited. No. See, so we're okay. See, because I'm changing my view on this from 24 hours ago. I don't know if they're. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. I think they'll lose their jobs. I don't know. Maybe Bondi will, but I don't know. Who knows?
She's got a red dot on her forehead right now.
Okay.
If she makes next week, I'll be amazed.
Okay. That is interesting. Now, a whistleblower says that Bongino's out at the end of the month, so
sure.
See about that. Yeah,
sure.
I mean, you can see that happening. So, but, I also understand where Cuomo's going, as you said. There was a list, though, but it was destroyed.
Me, my brother, my dad, we're all there. I don't want anybody to see that.
Exactly. Hey, the murder trial of an Aurora dentist accused of poisoning and killing his wife is getting underway. Jury selection in the murder trial of James Craig is set to begin today. Craig was arrested, of course, after his wife Angela died in 2023. Craig also faces charges for allegedly trying to derail the murder investigation by soliciting perjury and tampering with evidence, and for allegedly trying to hire an inmate to kill a detective. Police in Aurora say 24-year-old James Woodward, who was shot in a parking lot last week, has died from his injuries. He reportedly died in the hospital on Wednesday. The case is still under investigation, and no arrests have been announced. Rockies lose to the Red Sox 10-2. Dion is back soon, he says, on campus at CU. Health problems. He was at Big 12 Media Day and their first game at the end of August. 72 in Lone Tree, 70 in Boulder, 74 in Denver, and the great Peter Boyles in for Jeff and Billy. Show continues on this Thursday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Morning scattered showers and thunderstorms, then partly cloudy with afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms again. Highs lower 90s, clearing tonight a low near 60. Highs mid to upper 80s Friday, falling temperatures in the afternoon with showers and thunderstorms likely. Showers and thunderstorms will continue into Friday night. Lower 80s with scattered showers and thunderstorms again Saturday. Weather presented by Colorado's Best Roofing. Has hail damaged your home or business? Colorado's Best Roofing offers expert hail damage assessments and assistance with insurance claims. Schedule your free inspection at roofingcolorado.com. Visit roofingcolorado.com today. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Peter Boyles in for Jeff and Bill. I get to do today, tomorrow, and Saturday morning. Then the guys are back. 93 the high, 85 on Friday, Saturday for the motorcycle show, 86 degrees. All's well in the world. Greg Carrillo coming up. And again tomorrow, Dr. Daddy-O, Jimmy Walker, will be with us. So everybody hang on. Let me do a quick turn and catch up on commercial messages so we can spend a lot of time. What is it like to stand on it with a Top Fuel racer? Greg Carrillo, right up after this. You got it. Thursday morning, everyone. Peter Boyle, 710 KNUS, the voice of the people. It is going to be one of those days. 93, not as hot as yesterday. And looking forward to Saturday, it says 86 will be the high. And that is the motorcycle show. We're standing by for Greg, and we'll talk about drag racing. I've been a geek about going to drag races since I was, 15 years old, going with the older guys. And we went to Presque Isle in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then there was a place in Salem, Ohio, and there was another place in Mercer that was a shorter track. And we went to the drags. And Carrillo I met him through Bandamere, actually, and he's become a really good friend, and we ride motorcycles, and I wanted him to do a show. Now we're having a problem. So with apologies for that. Again, talking, and we'll get to open lines in the next hour. I promise everybody's jammed up. Wants to talk about Jeffrey Epstein, and I agree with you. We'll get that together, too. I'm looking through the mirror, trying to figure out what's going on. And then, again, tomorrow on the show, and he is a true legend in a time when it was very, very difficult for African Americans in broadcasting. Jimmy Walker in Denver had a radio station, KDKO, and it was coming, and he went on air as Dr. Daddio. And I met Jimmy, I don't know how long ago, and he's always been a hoot to talk to. I'm seeing a light go, light. Are we getting close? I'm watching. Close. We're there, almost. And we, all right. And Jimmy booked acts, and James Brown is his son's godfather, the godfather of soul, James Brown, and he's got just wonderful stories. And I'll have a co-host with me. We got that? We got him as well. There it is. Okay. With apologies, and he's become a great friend. We talk all the time. I watch him work, and it is amazing. Greg Carrillo joins us. Brother, man, thank you, and welcome to 710. I know you're having a busy morning. Thanks for coming on the air.
Hey, no problem. I see you had Roy Purefoy on there today.
Yeah, Purefoy was part of the Martino deal, and we thought we had Stefan as well, but Tommy crossed over, and Purefoy, he was all part of all of that stuff up north as well. How old were you the first time that you ran the track?
You mean at Bandamere? We used to run, actually, there were more racetracks there. There was a Rocky Mountain Speedway, CDR. I used to go to all those with my dad, racing in the early days. So, out east of Commerce City there, we used to run all the time. Them were the early days. No guardrails.
Ooh. Now, those were, I've seen pictures of your dad. Your dad was a great influence. Your dad was a contemporary of Bandamere's dad, right?
Yeah. Them guys, my dad right now, he's 90.
Wow.
And, he's still out with me out farming the farm. It's kind of crazy, right?
It'd be like being 81 and doing radio.
Yeah. I got to say a thank you to Rory, because way back in the day when he had his dealership, I was selling a product called Permaplate, and he bought from me, man. So that I was probably like 18 years old, and he was always trying to give everybody a help out.
Yeah.
So shout out to Rory. I wished I could have had him on my car sometime over there, but never worked out.
When did you start doing Top Fuel? When did you start to race?
Oh God! Well, here's the history. I raced on unfortunately, I guess I could say this now that they do it on TV. But I used to race on the streets outside of Brighton, Colorado, out on the Himalaya old farm roads, and then I worked my way up to I raced at Bandamere, and then I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and to go to college. I played football. And then I got my first dragster, and then I started racing it for years and years. So I won Denver Mile High Nationals. I won the Denver Division race over there, and the Knights of Fire and Thunder that John used to put on over there. It was lot of fun,
Did you start out front engine or rear engine dragsters?
I've driven them all, but primarily just the rear engine car, which is what Don Garlits came out with back in the day.
Yeah. I think I told you this. I had him in studio. Bandamir lined it up. Our guest is Greg Carrillo, drag racer, and he didn't want to talk about drag racing. He wanted to talk about the conspiracy. He was like, I'm looking at this guy, and he was the swamp rat, and I was like so in awe of him. The last thing he wanted to do was talk about racing. He wanted to talk about all this other stuff, and he was great. He was like one of the greats, and still is. So, but those guys all knew each other, did they not?
Yeah, everybody knew everybody back in the day, and the difference from today's racing versus back then, those guys used to match race.
Oh yeah,
Sturley and Don Garlits and Connie Coletta. They used to race each other. They'd race Thursday nights in Chicago, Friday nights in Ohio. It was really drag race was. I'm gonna say this, but that was the good old days for them. So it's.
They traveled for money. You paid them money to come in, right?
Yeah, they got money to come in. Now we got to qualify. So we didn't have all national events then. They had what they call divisional races, which were in different areas of the country, and it was a class. But as drag racing grew, it just become NHRA Top Fuel was just contested at national events throughout the United States.
Fastest you went through the traps. What's your record?
I'd have to sit back and look, but I always looked at Denver because it's my favorite track. But in 23, the last race they had there on Friday night, I rolled it out of the trailer number 1, and that was 378 at 325. So that was really good in Denver because that would be 60s on the coast somewhere. So really, I didn't get a chance to win that race, but it really was to all the hometown crowd. And, of course, we had Santiago's, the Mexican restaurants on the car, and we qualified number 1 for them on Friday night. So I wanted to win John's last race, but, I'll still take the Friday night number 1 qualifier.
You gave a time. What was the miles per hour for the folks in the audience?
320.
Imagine.
5.45 miles an hour on 1,000 feet.
Imagine that. 320.
What? We don't race a quarter mile anymore. We only race 1,000 feet.
They only because of what was happening at a quarter, right? People were losing their lives.
Yeah, well, we had a good close friend, Scott Coletta, which is Connie's son, and that happened out in New Jersey. But the cars are too fast, and slowing them down. And we got a lot of safety items in there now. We got a radio that actually goes off as you cross the finish line in case you're knocked out or something. It shuts the car off and puts the parachute out for you.
All right? I've asked you this. We had lunch together, and your girlfriend was with us, and I'm sitting, and I said, I thought this was like people saying to me, what's it like to do a radio show? And I said, I can't explain it. What is it like to do 325 in 1,000 feet?
Well, let me tell you, the first thing is like when you get on a bull, you got to get the strap right. But in Top Fuel, your head has to be strapped backwards and forward. So your head can't move. You can't hold your head up, okay? Because of the acceleration factor. And if your head touches any portion of the roll cage, you go blind. So that's the first thing, is strapping it in. But the first time I ever stepped in a Top Fuel car, I've driven race cars all my life, but I stepped into a Top Fuel car, and first thing that happened was I said, man, I stepped on something very bad for me, And anyway, the acceleration is 6 Gs. So it's an amazing thing to hold the pedal down. It's just like remember when you have the old Star Trek shows in the beginning where it shows the ship just idling and all of a sudden it just goes past the stars real fast?
Yes.
That's what it's like. That's what it's like.
Whew. I mean, it must, and it's over so quick. I was with Bandamere on the next to last day, and I walked the track with John, and you think of how many people, how fast they went, and what he saw and what you saw. And so, when did you get your own car? When did you get the?
I got my own car in 1986.
Wow.
And I won the Denver Mile High, first Mile High Nationals that I won was in 1990. So, and then, division races, all that, national events, Phoenix and California. But the hardest thing about Top Fuel racing when I see the kids out doing it now is stay in school. Because you got to have some serious marketing to race these cars.
Greg Carrillo is with us. He's become a great friend, motorcyclist, Sturgis goer, and a Top Fuel pilot. And so and again, these are questions that are, when you get in the car, and Bandamer's taken me up to the line, and you can feel the power of those cars. I mean, it isn't a question like standing next to a car when it's idling. You can feel the automobile. You can feel the dragster. Can you feel it, Greg, from the inside?
Yes. What happens is, I don't know many of your listeners what we race on and the horsepower that we have, but the cars start up actually on a squirt of gasoline. Once they get starting their idling, they idle smooth just like your normal street car. But when you push the handle and give them nitromethane, the whole car shakes back and forth about 4 inches, 3-4 inches. It's just shaking back and forth. So you're going from like 1,200 horsepower to 12,000 horsepower. So when you hit the gas pedal, it's like 3.5 on the Richter scale of an earthquake. So, it's something.
Is it true that one of the things that it does begin to happen is in the stops, it's the eyeballs of the pilots, of the drivers? Now, I read these, I don't know what's true, what's not true, but is that true that your eyes start to actually move ahead, or whatever the terms are? Is that true?
Well, here's what the problem is with eyesight in Top Fuel. Well, first of all, in the launch, like I told you cannot touch your helmet to anything, because otherwise the vibration will blind you. But the big thing is when you put the parachutes out, your eyeballs try to come out of your head.
Yes.
So you get what's called detached retinas. So what I do is I put one chute, it comes with two. I put one chute out, then the other chute. So the initial hit is a little less harsh than two. But the tracks, when they were getting short, when we kept speeding up, now they're, cars are going in the 340 range, low altitude. You can't stop. So got to get them chutes out. But that's what Joe Amato, who won many races at Bandamere, had. They get them detached retinas, and you got to be careful after that. It could end your career.
How much does it cost to make one pass? There's a number on it?
Well, here's what it takes to run Top Fuel. Guys are running at between $250 and 500,000 a race, depending on pay scale. So, you're looking at probably 25 to 50,000 a lap. So yeah, the thing is, you got to always, we got a great company out of Denver, Gates Rubber Company.
Yep.
And they're really a good company. But, for example, they make blower belts, right? And it's almost like you always want to put a new one on because you can't trust anything to go wrong, some inexpensive part to stop an entire run when you have tires that $1,000 a piece, and clutch disc at, $5,000-6,000 in the clutch can, and then fuel at, couple $1,000, so you always want good parts and the best parts. So that's how I had trouble at Bannerman because we had no air up there. There's no air. So we had to spin the blowers faster. So I went a couple rounds up there, and I blow the blower belt off because, of course, we're searching for horsepower. But when I got with Gates out of Denver, my problems got eliminated. So, they know how to build blower belts out in Denver.
The guys that work on these cars, and I've gone to the Mile High Nationals for years and sometimes just Sundays knocking around with John, and they tear down cars, tear down engines, and it's amazing to watch those guys work. How do you find the right mechanics to do that?
Well, the first thing you got to have, Peter's like even radio. You don't do it for the money, okay? You got to love it. And that's the way it is. If you don't love it, you can't come what we call on this side of the ropes, which is where they work on the cars. And you got to have guys with desire. And those guys come in. I have a guy on my team that I'm thinking about right now, Cole. He does the cylinder heads, and he's kind of the captain of the rebuild process. But he showed up at my car dealership one day. And he's sitting in the living room, and they go, "Hey, there's some guy out here who wants to talk to you." I went on, and I said, "Yeah, how can I help you, kid?" And he goes, "I want to be on your race team." And I go, "You do?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he says, "I don't give a shit what I do, So he just started out doing anything. And next thing you know, he's still doing it today. He's got a couple kids, but these guys they have a desire to do it. And you got to be precision. And you got to be quick, and you got to be, and they're under pressure as much as I am as a driver.
Tell you, I think I told you the story over lunch that you said was true. I was in Sturgis, and I used to work media up there and do television and do radio. I've quit doing it because you weren't having any times. But I got invited there was a huge place up there that burned down, and they had a party. And the NASCAR guys were there, and so were the Hawaii Tropics girls were there, and it was Oh Dark 30. And I'm a big fan of the Earnhardts. I always was, and I met Dale Jr. And they'd had a couple of beers, and we started talking. And actually, a close friend of his father's was a good friend of mine who was actually in the hospital when it was announced that his dad was dead. And so I introduced myself by introducing that I knew David. And we started to talk, and we started talking about racing and everything. And he said, "Here's what they don't understand." He said, "We would do it for free."
That's exactly right.
You told me that.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd all do it for free. The unfortunate thing is the parts aren't free.
No, but he said,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he said, I don't know what. I mean, he made enough money to retire, and he looks, he's great. But he was very open, and it was great to talk to him. He said, but this is the secret. They don't know. He said, we would do it for free. Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like a shot in the arm, I guess. Yeah. I've never done drugs in my life. I've never drank in my life, But I think I might have picked up the worst habit, top fuel racing.
I'll remember that line. So ultimately, this is, again, a good friend, motorcyclist, Sturgis, man. We cross over. Greg Carrillo. And what is it like to go 325 miles an hour in 3 seconds? And you see the pictures of those big back tires, and they're actually squished. They put so much torque on them. What's it like? Yeah. And how do you I'll just let it go at that. What is it like?
I'll tell you, a lot of things go through your mind when you're going to do this. When you're in the car and you're ready to step on this pedal, they start the car up. You try to put everything on the shelf about the rebuild, which is key. Your guy's doing a good job. But my guys are so good at it that I can just focus in on racing. But you line that car up, make sure you're nice and straight. And let me tell you, they think drag racing's a straight line. It isn't a straight line when you got a top fuel car. The back end's always trying to pass the front end, But I remember at Denver that last time we went there was the first pass out of the box, and when I hammered the gas pedal, I was waiting for it to smoke the tires, and I go, well, it's going to smoke, it's going to smoke, it's going to smoke. My head's buried back, and next thing you know, here's the finish line. I put the chutes out, and I couldn't believe it, but John's track was so good. On the very first pass, we qualified number 1 for Friday night, and that shows you how John did his racetrack. And all the Santiago's Denver fans, because I grew up and I was a Brighton Bulldogger,
yeah,
you know that, right?
I know, yes.
Yeah, so all the Brighton people were out there and Santiago's people were out there, so it was so exciting. I almost forgot to let off the gas pedal. I was trying to bury it so bad,
I can't imagine, but it must be. Well, I've tried to talk. We're talking about you doing a radio show, but I don't expect to get into top fuel car. But I just love watching them go, and that's where we met. I met Greg through John Bandemir, and then we become friends away from it. And he says, we're going to go to Sturgis together. No, this year you're going to be up in Sturgis. I'm riding up, so you're taking the coach, and we'll be there. We'll be there.
Well, Sturgis is the best, man. I don't know if a lot of people. You don't need a bike to go there, right? Tell these people, just come on up to Sturgis.
Walk.
See the passion. See all the people, and it's not what people think it is.
No.
They think it's all this. Yeah. Wild partying and stuff. It's far from that, but it's really something for people to come and see. So
I love you. I mean, you're a friend. I love you with my heart, and you and I got to pull the pin because we're behind. I'll give you a call, and I'll give you a call this afternoon, and we'll put something together.
Got it.
For this. Thanks, Greg. To everybody, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Denver, for everything, for being good fans, and we appreciate Denver people.
I'll talk to you this afternoon. Thanks, brother.
Okay.
Greg Carrillo, everyone. All right, we go to open lines, but first we got to pay the bills. It is Thursday. I'm Peter Boyles. This is 710 KNUS. All right, here we go again. Thursday morning, open lines between now and 10 o'clock. 303-696-1971. Good morning, everyone. 710 KNUS, 93 the high. We do tomorrow, 85 will be the high, and we'll do Saturday. 86 will be the high, and then it's the motorcycle show that afternoon. We'll go right to the phones because Don's waiting. He's in Lakewood. Don, you waited a long time. Really appreciate it. Get you up on the air. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Pete. Make things here kind of quick. It's a busy day for you. First of all, Epstein was arrested in 2019, correct?
For he was arrested once before.
Yeah, where they got him this last time.
In Florida. Yes, you're right. In New York, 19. You're right.
Who were the people that arrested him? Was it the FBI?
It was the feds, I thought, the FBI.
Okay, and where did they put him in jail?
He's in Brooklyn, I thought, or was in Brooklyn, as that's where he allegedly killed himself.
He was in a New York City borough jailhouse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, who was the head of the FBI back then? Christopher Wray?
Yeah.
Okay. So, my whole feelings about this is I would not expect any of this evidence to be left there with the administration one as far as the FBI, even though Trump was president. And then you had 4 years of Biden, and we're seeing already tons of shredding that went on within that administration. It's like Comer saying we can't get any medical records, just stuff that doesn't exist. Maybe Kash Patel has a real leg up on Comey and Brennan because he was counterintelligence.
Did you see Joe Rogan and Kash Patel? Did you see that interview?
I did not.
Pam Bondi once said she had Epstein's client list on her desk. It turns out now that she didn't and never was one. Do you believe that?
Well, it's hard to say.
No, I mean, it's a yes or no. It's not that tough.
I believe, because did she actually say client list?
Yeah, she once said she had Epstein's client list on her desk.
Well, I think she was asked about a client list, and I think her response
and
was,
she couched it.
I have the entire file.
She had Dr. King. She had Jack Kennedy.
Exactly,
she had Dr.
She
Kennedy.
Said she had the files. She did not specifically say the client list. Now, she's also
wait a minute. Whoa. The memo.
Client list.
I don't want to argue with you. The Monday memo, the Justice Department announced she's the AG, and she runs the Justice Department. And that leak, the Monday memo, said there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. There was no evidence to charge other individuals in connection with the case. And do you accept that?
Yeah, I do. Because I think it was really early on. She had a ton of cases dumped on her desk. People were asking her questions. Maybe she had an assumption there was a list in there. That doesn't necessarily mean there was, because she also said she hadn't reviewed it yet.
Let me read this to you then and tell me if you accept this. The Wall Street Journal. Bondi previously promised she would release, these are her words, a truckload of documents from the FBI's investigation into Epstein, and implied that she had a list of Epstein's clients sitting on her desk waiting for her review. Now suddenly
she was over her skis with that.
Or she was telling the truth.
I think maybe she was under the assumption. Let's go with this.
No, let's not go with anything.
That period of time, the short period of time that she was the Attorney General, and everything she was handed, did she make an error in saying anything? Yeah, but they want to beat you. You got to say something on the spot, and that's a lot of people.
She has all of these past moments where she has said she has things. Now, heavily, on more than one occasion, that she had the dirt, she had the receipts. She promised that she would release a truckload of documents. And I watched the Kash Patel interview with with Joe Rogan, and he's trying to explain, well, yeah, the videos they have, well, they're just child porn. And they're trying to get out of it, man. I mean, I understand that you're a supporter of the president, and that's terrific, but by the way, the supporters of the president on a national level, they've turned on Pam Bondi.
Yeah, I don't care about what other people. I only care about what I believe.
Well, I understand that, but
that consensus by these people, and damn good and well, there's tons of people everywhere that are barely sporting a room temp IQ.
Well, you say those things, but
I say I'm very realistic.
I understand. Listen,
a
I
lot of people
it.
I come into contact with haven't opened the book ever. They take all their sound bites from this crap on TV. They know no history.
You think this is crap?
I think there's so many. It depends upon what station you turn. Turn on CNN. Go turn on Fox.
No, I'm just. Listen, I'm a reader.
I know, but I think they need to move on from this. How important is it we know anything about Epstein?
No.
How important is it?
It is significant. If he had all of these powerful characters coming there and molesting little girls or young women, and you think, hey, just drive on, it's no big deal. It's a big deal.
I don't think you're ever going to get to him.
Well, you say,
it's all been covered.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so you tell me on Kennedy, what'd you learn from all that crap released on Kennedy? Nothing new to see, and it was still redacted.
The question
wasn't going to be redacted.
The question. No, I didn't say that. I said the president said they were
going to. They said they weren't going to redact anything, but yet I haven't looked at. But I've heard there's tons of redactions. I think you said some of that stuff was redacted on the Kennedy stuff.
But here it is. Once again, I brought up the JFK thing. I said, is this the JFK moment of our time about who there's a dead man, not that Epstein and Kennedy are close, but I mean, it's a disgrace. The truth will come out and somebody has to pursue what happened. Go
back when Epstein got off the first time.
Yeah.
I think that was down in Florida.
Yes, he did. Remember, he's leaving his cell during the day and hanging out with his
Why did the judge do that? What was that?
Because he's a corruption. I rest my case. Remember, he went to work every day and would come back to his cell, and he tricked his cell up.
Who was the judge?
I don't know the judge's name.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't remember either, or what his backstory was, of why he would even do that.
But that's the point of it, is that he had that much stroke. That's Al Capone stuff, man. I appreciate your call. You be safe. Thank you. 303-696-1971 is our number. A lot of different text messaging following that call. 20 years after Jeffrey Epstein was exposed for his children's sex abuse enterprise, the Justice Department this week makes a startling revelation. Rather than the dozens of victims, the things that they promised. I mean, Bongino promises this stuff. And you watch them while they're doing those interviews. Bongino's squirming. There's a rumor that Bongino is out. Now, whether or not that's true. Also, there's another rumor that the AG isn't going to make it. Pam Bondi will be gotten rid of. Pam Bondi once said she had Epstein's client list. And now allies of the president, they've turned on Pam following the department's announcement Monday, the no Epstein client list. Well, that's simply not true. I mean, if you go back to 2021, the reports are there that the client list is there. They have it. And what do you think has happened? I mean, this goes nuclear over the Epstein files. Why is Maxwell in jail if none of this is true? 303-696-1971. Lines are wide open. We have another hour straight ahead of open lines. Lines are lighting up. It's going to be a hot day, 93 the high. Let's go. 710 KNUS.